Hello, everybody, and welcome to this town hall and information session. I'm your host today, Alexandra Ortega. I'd like to introduce myself and thank you all for joining. I'm the Executive Director of the International Panel Physicians Association, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Matthew Ingalls, who is our Associate Director at the International Panel Physicians Association. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Matthew. As well as Christy Cornell, who is a health educator with the Medical Assessment and Policy Team at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Happy to have everyone here. Hi, Christy. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to welcome everyone and thank them for coming.
Thanks, Christy.
Guys.
We have a great group today. We actually have just over 50 participants, and we're thrilled to have you. This is the first time that our association has hosted a webinar like this, a town hall meeting like this for civil surgeons. Just a reminder to keep yourself on mute when you're not speaking, but we will invite your collaboration in the second part of this presentation. Okay, well, today we're going to talk about who IPPA is, who we are and what we do. Where you all, the civil surgeons, come into play there. And then we're going to share information with you about an upcoming training opportunity for civil surgeons that we are co-hosting with CDC in Atlanta, Georgia next month. And then we're going to do a needs assessment with you all and do a poll where we'll invite your participation and we'll ask you to look for the link to answer these questions in the chat. So more to come on that later in the session. And then we'll answer any questions you have. So you're welcome throughout this session to put any questions about your work, about IPPA, about CDC into the chat, and we'll be monitoring those. And we'll be covering questions at the end of the session. So a little bit about our association. My name, like I said, is Alexandra Ortega, and I'm the Executive Director of IPPA, and I'm joined by Matthew Ingalls today, who's our Associate Director, Bianca Kurtzen, who is our Education Director, and Vanna Pearson, who is our Program Manager. And our purpose is to build global capacity for providers of immigration medical examinations through continuing education and professional support. We work very closely with the government of the United States, but also with the governments of Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and Canada, to facilitate training opportunities for the physicians who provide IMEs for those countries. IPPA is a nonprofit 501c3 association, which is legally incorporated in El Paso, Texas. We were founded by a group of US panel physicians from Mexico right across the border here in Ciudad Juarez, which is the largest panel physician screening site in the world for the US, sees the highest number of immigrants. So we have close access to a lot of experts here right across the border. We're the only professional association in the world that solely delivers training activities for providers of IMEs, and we've been doing so for a decade now. IPPA and Migration 5 partners, those country partners I mentioned, cooperatively support both live and online training activities for providers of IME. And we are the recipient of a cooperative agreement from CDC to improve the capacity and quality of screening physicians, including civil surgeons, who are performing regulatory required overseas and domestic medical examinations for US-bound populations, including immigrant visa applicants, non-immigrant visa applicants, refugees, and applicants for adjustment of status. Just a little bit of background, the US government resettles thousands of immigrants and refugees annually. On average, it's 500,000 overseas, and those exams are done by panel physicians, and the other 500,000 by civil surgeons here in the United States. Immigrants and refugees are vulnerable populations who may have more limited access to preventative and curative healthcare services in their countries of origin, which can lead to health disparities here in the US. So that's some background on why we are a public health service-based nonprofit organization and how we work cooperatively with CDC on achieving those health goals. As you all know, in your work, that US-bound immigrants and refugees receive a limited health assessment that focuses on identifying health-related inadmissible conditions. However, many of these individuals have other complex healthcare needs. Just a little bit of background, additional background about IPPA. Our core values are resilience, compassion, integrity, competence, collaboration, and inclusivity. These are the values that we foster among our membership and in their work, working with immigrants and refugees. Our activities, we provide quality education and training at events and online, so in-person events and online. We facilitate interprofessional knowledge base and transfer. We provide technical consultation and support for clinical practice, especially in the area of tuberculosis. And we do so by assessing needs. Today's meeting is one of the ways which we are assessing needs among civil surgeons, but we do so with panel physicians regularly. We share resources through our website and our learning management system. We have a mentorship program. We recruit subject matter experts to contribute to our training programs, and we provide CE trainings. Oops. This is our board of directors at a recent board meeting, which was mixed. Some people dialed in, some people were in person in Atlanta. Our board president, Dr. Lyndon Mascarenas, Jairo Roa from Colombia, Claudia Bravo, who is our treasurer, Alex Klazowski from the International Organization for Migration, Maria Pichi Villanueva from Philippines, Mehmet Ungan from Turkey, Colette Nolan from Ireland, Prabhat Bhushan from India, and Dr. Anibal Acosta as well from Mexico, and myself and Bianca Kurtzen. All panel physicians, all working to provide these screenings for the US. A little bit about our recent activities. Together with CDC and IOM, we held a training in Geneva, a regional workshop that was very regionally focused on issues there in the region. That was an in-person training, as well as tuberculosis from start to finish with CDC and IOM in Cairo, Egypt, for panel physicians from the region. Through our cooperative agreement, we have also published an app where we have courses for civil surgeons and panel physicians called IPPA Link, which is available on the App Store. And all of our programs, we work with Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center in El Paso to provide continuing medical education. And for the upcoming training I'll discuss in Atlanta, that live activity is accredited for 16.75 CMEs. So would like to just do a review of the agenda. And as questions come up about the agenda, any of the training content or its purpose or format, feel free to drop those into the chat and we'll address those at the end of today's session. So if you have any questions about the agenda, please share those in the chat. Well, we're really excited to host this inaugural training event for civil surgeons. This is actually IPPA's first time hosting an event, which is for civil surgeons, which really provoked us to invite you all to this town hall today. We want to hear more about you and your experiences and what your perspectives are as civil surgeons, but want to take this opportunity to share with you the agenda for this upcoming training, which was developed by CDC's medical assessment and program team, the MAP team. So going through day one, we'll really open the training with providing context and background and hearing from our leadership. Our board president of the International Panel Physicians Association will welcome the group. And we'll also hear from Drew Posey, Dr. Drew Posey, who is the chief of the Immigrant, Refugee, and Migrant Health Branch at CDC Division of Global Migration and Quarantine, and a very special guest, DGMQ leadership, Captain David Fitter, Captain David Fitter, who is the director of the Division of Global Migration and Quarantine there at CDC. So really high level speakers here introducing the background and context of the immigrant medical examination. We'll hear from Warren Dalal, who is from the Immigrant, Refugee, and Migrant Health Branch at DGMQ on refugee trends and global issues which is a very hot topic right now. Lots of changes and lots of updates there. And then we're excited to hear from USCIS, who will provide an overview of their role in the adjustment of status process and the health-related grounds of inadmissibility, and give an overview of qualifications and requirements of the civil surgeon program. After that, we will hear from the US Department of State. And from your work, you're more familiar with working with USCIS, but this session with US Department of State will give civil surgeons an opportunity to hear about how this process, which is analogous to what you do in the US, happens overseas. And the counterpart who they work with, the panel physicians overseas, is the Department of State. So this is planned to give you more insight into how this process works overseas compared with here in the United States. This is the first time we're doing something like this where we will have civil surgeons and panel physicians together, and both groups will get to hear about how it's done on either side of the border. We'll have lunch, which is all included in the registration fee, and then Dr. Nick DeLuca from DTBE, the Department of Tuberculosis Elimination at CDC, is going to give a session on TB education and communication resources. At certain times throughout the workshop, panel physicians and civil surgeons will break apart into groups to discuss specific issues. There are many similarities in how panel physicians and civil surgeons work and the populations who they screen, but there are some key differences, and we want to facilitate and allow both groups the opportunity to discuss those with their peers. With that being said, there are other exciting opportunities where panel physicians and civil surgeons will get to mingle and network together and do some group work together during the week. But for these specific sessions, panel physicians will break out and they'll discuss with Department of State, who is their counterpart, and then they'll talk about the TB technical instructions for panel physicians, while civil surgeons will discuss the I-693, which is specific to civil surgeons, and the TB technical instructions. And then in the afternoon of day one, to conclude, we will have a peer consulting activity, and that's where panel physicians together with civil surgeons can mix and mingle and talk about their shared experiences and issues and challenges and ways they address those, and a day in review where we will have a Q&A panel session. So a lot of interaction planned throughout this 3-day workshop. On day 2, we'll hear from Christy Cornell. She'll give a welcome and day overview, and the mental health technical instructions for civil surgeons and panel physicians will be presented, as well as a case study review for the mental health technical instructions. This is a topic that always requires a lot of attention, and in the audiences, with the audiences who we've worked with in the past, addressing these mental health cases through a case study review is always received very well and is a great way to learn how to apply the technical instructions. Following lunch, we'll have a lunch and learn for panel physicians on laboratory best practices. Again, that's a specific session for panel physicians. And then we will cover vaccine technical instructions for immigrants, and again, follow that didactic session with an opportunity for case study review and the vaccine technical instructions. And again, in the afternoon of day 2, panel physicians and civil surgeons will separate to discuss some specific issues unique to their groups. And so panel physicians will discuss working with refugees and other special populations and have their day in review together, while civil surgeons will discuss e-medical upfront, what's to come for civil surgeons. So a change coming for civil surgeons with respect to e-medical and the expectations there. So a really important session. And on Friday, day 3, again, we'll kick off the day with a welcome and day overview from CDC. And day 3 is really focused on tuberculosis. As I mentioned, we've focused a lot on tuberculosis in our past trainings. It's a very important public health issue. Migrants definitely are a key affected population in tuberculosis control. And so this day really covers a lot of tuberculosis concepts starting from the basics, screening and diagnosis, but also includes advanced concepts as well. So the plenary session of the day, Dr. Neela Goswami, a very highly regarded TB expert, not just in the US, but globally, will present this session on the screening and diagnosis of TB. After the break, she'll also cover a more advanced treatment session, so getting more into those details of treatment, drug resistance, XDR, lots of good experience there. And then TB and chest radiograph interpretation. This is one of our most popular sessions that we host at training events for panel physicians, which will describe the radiographic features of tuberculosis. You do not need to be a radiologist to attend this session. Dr. Michael Lizardo from the Southeastern National Tuberculosis Center in Florida. And then a session for panel physicians, which is clinical cases and refugee health assessment for panel physicians. Those sessions will repeat again in the after lunch period, and that allows participants to attend more than one of these great topics that we have going on simultaneously. Over lunch, there will also be opportunities for office hours for people to meet with subject matter experts and government representatives with the US Refugee Program and on eMedical as well. So great opportunities there. After the break, we'll do a case study review, again with Dr. Mike Lizardo from SNTC on tuberculosis. These case study reviews are a really great opportunity to practice skills and what we've learned throughout the week. And then we'll have a brief closing ceremony and certificates, and the training will conclude at 3:45 p.m. on Friday, August 23rd. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, August 25th. Thank you for correcting me there, Matthew. At this time, I want to invite Matthew or Christy to chime in anything else that you want to add information-wise on this upcoming training that we have scheduled to take place next month in Atlanta.
Certainly. I answered a few questions in the chat. This is also a good time if you have questions to put them in there. This will also be accredited for CMEs with Texas Tech University. All right, Christy.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I'm relatively new to the MAP team, and we're really excited of the opportunity to have all of the civil surgeons and the panel physicians come to Atlanta and really experience some of the great people we have working at the CDC. So, we've all been doing a lot of video calls. Here we are on one, and we're really excited about this opportunity to bring everyone together. So we really hope to see you there, and we hope to answer any questions you have right now.
All right, thank you, Christy. And not to put anyone on the spot, but I did see Laura Rakuljic from USCIS join. I just wanted to invite you to introduce yourself or add any comments regarding the upcoming training if you're available. No need to put you on the spot.
Sorry about that. Hey, everybody, this is Laura Rakuljic. I am a policy analyst with USCIS, and I am happy to be able to present in August for this event. We're working really hard on coming up with lots of exciting information. Some of it may be older. Some of you have been civil surgeons for a long time, and some of you haven't been. But whether or not that's the case, we do have kind of a lot of new and exciting developments coming up. So can't wait to share those with you and just talk in general, get feedback. I love these in-person events because it's so much easier to kind of talk one-on-one and just really get feedback on your experiences. So thank you, and looking forward to seeing you all there.
Thanks, Laura. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but glad to hear from you and really excited to see you in person as well.
There was a question about downloading the IPPA Link app. I'm checking on my phone right now to double check that same screen, and I'll put something in the chat for you in a moment.
Okay. Okay, great. I've just shared my screen, and this is where we want to check in with you all and hear about your experiences as a civil surgeon in a general sense, and by hearing your responses to these poll questions. So there's a link already in the chat, and I think I might probably need to put it back in there. There's probably a lot of activity. So the first question is asking you all just to indicate what your medical specialty is, just so we can get a sense of who's in the room, a little bit about your background. There's a link in the chat. If you click that link, you can respond to the poll. We should be able to see the responses come in here live. So open your chat, click the link, let us know what your medical specialty is. Okay, 2 responses so far, not bad out of the 80. Internal medicine, we see that a lot very frequently with panel physicians as well. Many others. There was no open-ended option on this poll, but we'll definitely get into that more. And I see infectious disease as well. Okay, great. We'll move on to the next question, and feel free to keep answering these polls. We'll capture the results after as well as we move through. So next question, years of experience as a civil surgeon. So as a civil surgeon specifically, this is a separate link. So for each question, you'll need to click on the link in the chat. So I've just placed that link in the chat. Feel free to click it. Answer, let us know how many years you have been working as a civil surgeon. Few responses so far, less than 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years, or over 20 years. Very interesting, a lot of newer civil surgeons, but a nice spread of experience across the board. Okay, next question. I'm adding this link into the chat now. And, oops. How often would you like to participate in CME activities for civil surgeons? So for civil surgeons specifically, not necessarily having to do with your other medical associations you might be a member of, but just looking at CME activities just for civil surgeons. Some responses coming in. And I see some responses in the chat, people with more than 30 plus years experience. So bravo. That is really nice to see. Okay, so once per year seems to be the #1 response, followed by quarterly, and then every other year and twice per year. Okay, 4th question. This one is a little bit different. I'm looking for words. So this will show up as a word cloud. And we're asking, what is your biggest challenge as a civil surgeon? I know that you could probably write a lot, paragraphs even, about what your challenges are as civil surgeons, but you can save those for the workshop in Atlanta next month. Now we just want to hear what is your biggest challenge as a civil surgeon? And I don't see any responses coming in yet. This is actually an open text, so you can submit more than 1 word. Keeping up with updates, that is a very good point, and something that we're looking at supporting here at IPPA. Knowledge base, getting started, great responses. clients, unrealistic expectations from clients, timely updates, taking care of patients who need referrals, being informed of changes, keeping up with updates, keeping up with changes, immunizations, language barriers, getting in touch with USCIS to answer specific questions, TB requirements for immunosuppressed. Lots of really great answers. This is great information. I see
similar
yes.
answers in the chat too, keeping up with updates, immunizations, communication with UCIS.
I see translation here as well. All right, a lot of really, really good responses. Feel free to keep answering as we continue to move through the questions. Lots of great feedback already. Okay, moving on. Next question, how would you prefer to access professional development content? These workshops, materials, courses online. I've just dropped the link into the chat so you can answer them. So I'm looking back over here. Webinars and online courses, respondents so far. I see 4. Blended. So kind of a mix. Okay, again, feel free to keep answering those. Okay, next question. How do you prefer to receive updates and news about civil surgeon practice? And I'm getting, Matthew, do you see some writing on my screen, like some doodles?
I do. There's an overlay of text there.
Yeah, okay. I think you guys have to clear the annotation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Zoom feature.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't clear it. Yeah, you have to go like in your bar up where it says view options and then annotate. Whoever's running the Zoom should be able to say clear in there.
And many of the responses right now are email. The preferred method is email quite a bit.
Okay. Okay, yay. Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just pause there for a minute. We were on question number 5, webinars and online courses. Matthew, is this where we left off? Were we on the next question already?
I believe so. Okay. Also, someone said online portal would be great too, and webinars.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll go over here to which of the following benefits do you find the most valuable? And I've just put that link there into the chat. Networking opportunities with peers and experts. And I know maybe all of these are valuable to you, but we're asking for what is the most valuable if you can pick one. Networking opportunities with peers and experts, discounts on conferences and events, career development resources, or mentorship programs. It's kind of a tie there with networking opportunities with peers and experts and discounts on conferences and events. The networking I saw pulled ahead. Okay, and how do you prefer to receive updates and news about civil surgeon practice? I know updates came up as a need back on an earlier question, and how would you prefer to receive those updates? So email seems to be the most frequent response.
Yeah. Email's coming through a lot right now.
Yeah, email's coming up on the chat too, I see. followed by association website and mobile app notification. Okay, and last question to end on a positive note. What do you find most rewarding about your work as a civil surgeon? Why do you continue to do it? How do you find meaning in it? What does it mean to you? And I've just pasted that poll into the chat, so please feel free to click it and respond, and we will wrap up this polling section of today's presentation. And I'm reading some, I see some responses coming in to the chat now. I don't see any coming into the poll. Helping immigrants, meeting immigrants, learning their life story, happiness and freedom that it gives to our clients. And I see meeting new potential patients, helping folks, helping immigrants. I identify with them, happy to be able to help. I do this as pro bono work in central Louisiana and have done over 950 free exams in the area with almost no civil surgeons and a huge demand. Wow, that's inspiring. I enjoy helping immigrants that are coming from countries with political strife. I am an immigrant and remember how difficult it was to get mine, so I decided to do it in order to better help other immigrants and make the process easy for them. Beautiful. They're fun. I like that response. Being part of the immigration process is a privilege. I could read these all day. Health education and awareness. Beautiful responses. Thank you all for contributing. It's nice to get a sense of where everybody's at in the Zoom room today. As I mentioned, feel free to keep answering these polling questions if you'd like. But now I would actually like to move into a little Q&A period. I'm going to ask Matthew if you have any questions that stood out to you from the chat so far today.
We've answered actually quite a few questions regarding e-medical that'll be talked about during the actual events. I'm not sure if Christy wants to speak to about e-medical for civil surgeons right now, or if you want to wait till the event.
I can just give them a kind of just an idea. We will be offering it, of course, live at the event, and you'll have an opportunity to ask the experts on e-medical. There'll be office hours, so if you have any questions additional to what they present, you'll have that opportunity at the event. In addition to that, with all the changes and the new stuff coming towards you guys, there will be